Welcome to the overview video for OneForm. So basically in this video what we're going to do is we're going to show you how to fill out a form, show you where it goes, and show you basically some of the features that go into doing the form solution here. So basically when you first log into OneForm, if you're an actual user of the system, and there can be anonymous forms, so you don't actually have to have an account, but this is basically set up so that if you do have an account and you're doing approvals and things like that, this is the basic dashboard that you're going to see. You're going to have sections that have like the recent forms that you yourself have filled out, any documents that maybe have been submitted on your behalf. Maybe you have a staff member that fills out forms for you, anything that's awaiting approval. So if you have like forms that you yourself are approving for somebody else and going down the line, that section is here. And then any recent submitted forms that basically the department has done is basically in this section as well. And so you basically get some stats on that, who submitted it, things like that. And so basically to fill out a form, it's very simple. You either click on the link that goes to like an anonymous form, or you can come up here to forms and you're provided a list that actually shows all the actual forms in the solution that has basically your access to it. So if I'm going to search for personnel requisition form, because we're just going to do that one just to show you guys real fast, we're just going to click on personnel requisition. And it's going to actually load up the form. So basically these are all the fields that we need to fill out to submit the form, and then it's going to go through an approval process. And so basically if we view the template, what this is going to do is show us the actual PDF form that we use to create the digital form. So when we click view template here, it's going to open up a new tab, and then it's going to show us the actual document. So you'll see that this section here is for the initiator, and they're going to fill out this section. Then it's going to go through a couple of approval flows where fiscal services fills out their section, human resources fills out their section, and then basically a human resource officer signs the actual document, and then it's fully approved. Where it actually goes, in this demo, we're going to send it to a SharePoint solution, but it can go pretty much to any repository as long as you have an API, or it can go to our OneDocStop solution, which there's more information on the website for that. But in this demo, we're going to send it to the demo solution here in SharePoint. So basically, if we go back to the actual form, all you have to do is basically fill out the form. And it's very simple, but there are things that we do to make it more user-friendly for the initiator or even the people doing the approval flows. So you'll notice here in the comments section, for example, it says max characters 500. This basically shows the characters that are remaining, so that if you were to type something in here, then basically what's going to happen is it's going to count down to tell you how many characters you have left, so it doesn't basically overflow, and it will stop you from basically doing anything more. A message pops up that says that you've exceeded the character limit, and that if you want, you can basically create a Word document and then use the attachments feature to attach more. So there are certain controls that basically prevent people from messing things up or not filling out fields. Anything that's required, like if I was trying to submit this form, then basically it's going to come up and say, nope, I haven't filled out the fiscal year, and I haven't done any of the actual school departments or any of the other choice fields that are required. Anything that has like a red asterisk next to it is basically a required field. Then there's other things that basically, when you actually set this up, we can say that it creates a requisition number or a Bates number or any stamps that you guys need. So the number basically gets auto-generated based on the select field. Documents can also be routed based on field types as well. So if you select a field and it needs to go to a certain person, HR or something, based on that field choice, we can do that as well. So basically what I'm going to do is we're going to fill out this actual form, and then we're going to go move on to the next step. So let me fill that form out, and I'll be right back. Okay, so you'll see I just filled out the actual document here. The only other thing to note is that there are things where on the forms we can actually set it up where fields can basically be expanded, or if depending on the choices, they can reveal fields or hide those fields. So basically it's very customizable. It's basically whatever you guys actually need. So then once we have the form filled out and everything's good to go, we can basically click submit. And then what it's going to do is it's going to take all this information and it's going to stamp the original PDF document and then send it on its way. So basically now it's going to go to the first approver, which I've set myself up as approver on every single step. But of course, this will basically go different departments and different users. So basically just bear with me on that one. But basically for the initiator, the one filling out the form, when you submit it, you get this and you get an email that says, hey, this document got submitted and it's waiting for approval. And then you can actually view the submission at any time if you want to. You can click on this link here, and then basically what it's going to do is it's going to show you the actual document, and you can see that it actually filled out the actual form with all the fields that we have just submitted. Okay, so basically now I'm going to kind of switch gears here, and I'm going to pretend like I'm the actual approver in the situation. So you can do it a few different ways. You can go to the approval section, or you can go back to your dashboard. And you'll notice on the awaiting approval, I have this personnel requisition that is submitted by myself. And so basically, if I click on this document, what it's going to do is it's going to take me to the first approval step. And so you can see I'm on step 1, fiscal services here at the top. And then it's showing me the document. And then I have the ability to say, well, I request corrections. Maybe somebody did something wrong. They didn't fill something out the way that you need it to be filled out. Maybe they missed something, so you can say I request corrections, and then you can send it back to the submitter, and then you can give a reason as to why, and then they would basically get an email, and then they would be able to click on it and then fill the form out again. If you were on another step, say I'm on step 2 or 3, I can basically return it to a previous step. Since this is the first step, I don't have a previous step to send it to. The other thing that you can do is you can deny it altogether, which this would kill it, and then basically you can give a reason as to why. And so again, it would email the actual initiator, the person that created the form, and you would give them a reason as to why that the form was completely denied altogether. The other thing that you can do is actually click approve. But before I do that, I want to talk about this, is that say somebody does mess something up as far as like maybe they misspelled something or maybe something changed along the lines. At any point in any of these steps, you see these little blue icons here that look like a little edit button. And so what this means is if I go ahead and click on the section that's form submitted, and I click this little blue icon, what it's going to do is it's going to load up the initiator's fields and then allow me to adjust that information myself. So basically, if I wanted to adjust this information or maybe add an additional comment here, I'll just copy and paste this junk text or whatever that I put in there for the comments just for a demo. I'll just add a little bit more so you can see this. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a change, and I'm going to click Save Edits. And then basically what it's going to do is take me back to the approvals page with those edits. And you can see now I have more comments here in this section. So basically this is just a way so that the people doing the approval can actually make some minor changes if they need to, because there's some spelling issues or maybe something changed along the way. So that's basically what these little blue icons do. Again, this is based on how you guys want to set it up. Not every form has to have that, because some forms obviously are more confidential where you don't want to change that sort of thing, but most of them are enabled by default where you can do this unless we set it specifically to not. Okay. So basically in this situation right here, we're in the fiscal services step. You can see it's highlighted in blue. And so basically what that means is that we're going to fill out this fiscal services section here. And so I'm going to say, well, I approve this document. And so you'll notice that these fields pop up. So we have the choice boxes and things like that where I can say it's within budget. And so basically you can fill out the actual form with some information. So I'm just going to quickly do some basic indexing here. I don't want to bore you with this, so we're going to pause it again. Okay, so I filled out the actual fields that we needed. You'll notice that it stamped some documents or some fields automatically. So basically where it says fiscal officer, and this is basically the little section right here, that basically is just taking my logged in name and then stamping it and then also the current date. And so basically we're going to go ahead and submit this because we filled out the fields we want to approve it, and then we're going to move it on to the next step, which is basically HR staff. So I'm playing all the same parts. So I'm basically going to be the fiscal services, the HR staff, and final approval. But again, this will be different based on the setup that we have for you guys. So I'm going to go ahead and click submit, and it's going to do the same thing where basically it's going to stamp the fields onto the actual form, and then it's going to send it off, and it's going to say now it's going to step 2 HR approval. If I want to, I could view the submission, and I can return to dashboard or return to the approvals page here. And so we're just going to go back to the dashboard, and then now this is going to be on the HR staff. So now when I click on personnel requisition here, you'll notice that it says step 1 fiscal services, and then it says who approved that here. And so you know that it's checked off here, knowing that basically this has already gone through fiscal services. Now in blue, we're in the HR staff step 2. And so you'll notice again these little blue icons here. So if I wanted to edit any of the previous steps before, I can with these little icons here. But basically now you'll notice that it's stamped the document with the fiscal services. And so now the HR services are going to do their side. So I'm going to say I approve it. Again, you can request corrections, and then you'll notice that now I can set it back to step 1 now rather than just going back to the submitter. I could say, well, I want fiscal services to fix something, or maybe they need to add an attachment or something. So I can do that. But basically we're going to say we're going to approve this document, and you'll notice again we have all the fields that we need to fill out. And so again, as to not bore you, I'm going to go ahead and pause the video, and then we're going to pick back up when I finish inputting the data. Okay, so I got the fields filled out, and just like before, we're going to go ahead and click submit. And same thing, it's going to stamp the document, it's going to give us our report at the end and show us the steps that it's gone through. And so basically this is now going to go on to step 3, final approval. So you see that one's the next pending one. And then again, we're going to return to dashboard. And then we're going to click on personnel requisition for the awaiting the approval this time. And then again, it's going to pop up the document, and you'll notice all the fields are filled out now except for the final approval. So basically whether or not the final approval administrator is basically saying that this is okay or not. So again, same thing as before, request corrections. I could deny it, kill it all together. I can approve it. And so we're going to go ahead and do that. And so we're going to say this person is recommended, and you'll notice that it's already stamping my name and everything. Again, it's because it knows that I'm logged into it. If this was an anonymous form, they obviously put in their email address and everything to get their name from that, and then it would fill it that way. But anonymous forms are not something that you would use when you're approving documents, right? So basically, it's just the person initiating it. So basically, now that I've approved the actual document, I can say, okay, submit, and then this is the final approval. This is basically where the document is completely finished, everything is done, and then it finally goes to the repository. So again, the repository is basically whatever you guys have, but our typical ones are SharePoints and our OneDocStop solution that basically work seamlessly between it. So now that the document has actually gone through all the 3 approval steps, you'll see that it knows the time and date, it knows who approved it, and then the results, whether it's approved or denied. And then you can actually view the submission here if you want. But we're going to go into SharePoint, and I'm just going to show you that real fast. But you'll notice that all the fields have been filled out now, and everything's stamped, and everything's good to go. The initiator, the person that originally filled out the document when they first submitted it, they will get an email saying that the document has been fully approved, and then they would get the link so that they can see the actual document themselves as well. And so basically, if we go into the SharePoint site here, if we go into forms, and then we go into the personnel requisition document library, then basically what it's going to do is it's going to actually show us that actual document here. And so this is it right here, Bob Johnson. And if we double click on that, it's going to pop it up, and then it's going to show us the actual document. And then all these fields become searchable fields. So you can search on any of the information that's in here. This is all OCR'd and ready to go. So that's pretty much how OneForm works in a nutshell.